Hello everyone, myself V. Vibisha, pursuing 2nd MSc Biochemistry. I would like to take privilege on behalf of my presentation. My presentation is on jaundice. First of all, what is jaundice? Jaundice is a disease characterized by yellow color of the skin and the whites of the eye. Do you have any idea why there is elevated yellow color? It is only due to the presence of excessive amount of bilirubin in the blood in our body. What could be the reason for this elevated level of bilirubin means? One may be due to liver disease, and other may be due to excessive breakdown of red blood cells or due to the obstruction of the bile duct. So, generally the normal serum bilirubin ranges from 0.1 to 1.2 mg per dl, but it is not the case in jaundice. It may exceed more than 2.4 mg per dl. How does this jaundice occurs? What could be the reason? We know that every red blood cell has a lifespan of about 120 days. And after 120 days, there is no other go. They will destroy to form a new one. And they are enriched with the pigment called hemoglobin, which is responsible for carrying oxygen to all parts of our body for essential breakdown. At such time, bilirubin is secreted and it further circulates through the bloodstream and finally enters into the liver. From the liver via the bile duct, it gets stored in the gallbladder. From the gallbladder, it is released as bile in small quantities and enters into the small intestine. There it plays a vital role in the digestion of fats, generally the foods, which is eventually excreted from the body in feces. If the liver is not metabolizing bilirubin in such a proper condition, it may lead to jaundice. Here you can have a picture view. Here is the liver. From the bloodstream, the bilirubin enters into the liver via the intrahepatic bile duct. And further it enters into common bile duct and gets stored in the gallbladder. From the gallbladder, it is released as bile in small quantities in the small intestine, which is involved in the digestion of food particles into the smaller particles. There are three types of jaundice which was given by Rolleston and McNee in 1929. First one is hemolytic jaundice, second one is hepatocellular jaundice, and the third one is obstructive jaundice. In hemolytic jaundice, there might be excessive red blood cell breakdown, and this process is specifically termed as hemolysis. When this hemolysis occurs at higher level, there might be increased production of bilirubin in the bloodstream. And once the liver finds it very difficult to remove that excessive bilirubin, this condition is termed as hemolytic jaundice. And they are further divided into intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic is abnormality found within the red blood cells. Example, hemoglobinopathies, hereditary spherocytosis, G6PD deficiency in red cells. Extrinsic is abnormality found within the factors that are present external to red blood cells. The best suitable example is malaria. And this hemolytic jaundice is otherwise referred as retention jaundice. And here comes the hepatocellular jaundice, which might be due to the damage or infection of hepatocytes present in the liver. And there are some conditions in which they might occur. They include defective conjugation. They might also occur when there is viral hepatitis or toxic jaundice, and in condition like cholestatic jaundice, which might be due to consumption of drugs like chlorpromazine and steroids. And the third one is obstructive jaundice. As the name indicates, it is due to the obstruction of bile duct, which prevents further entering of bilirubin into the bile canaliculi. This might result due to gallstones, carcinoma of head of pancreas, and enlarged lymph glands pressing on bile duct. And this hepatocellular jaundice and obstructive jaundice are commonly called as regurgitation jaundice. Observe this image clearly. Increased destruction of RBC, which is otherwise said to be catabolism of hemoglobin, results in increased production of bilirubin in blood, and they are known to bound with protein called albumin. They are said to be unconjugated bilirubin and they are water insoluble in nature. This will enter into hepatocyte in liver and converted into bilirubin monoglucuronide which will be further converted into bilirubin diglucuronide. And they are said to be conjugated bilirubin, which are water soluble in nature. And it will further enter into bile canaliculi, and it goes through bile duct and enters into small intestine, and they react with microbes which is present in the gut region of the small intestine, and it will be converted into urobilinogen. Among this, only few urobilinogen is reduced to urobilin and 20% is reabsorbed. This reabsorbed urobilinogen enters into hepatocyte for carrying certain other functions, which is said to be enterohepatic cycle, and some of them are reabsorbed by the kidney, where it gets metabolized and excreted in urine and feces. So, based on this, the condition in which increased level of bilirubin is seen in the blood is said to be prehepatic hemolytic jaundice. When there is elevated level of conjugated bilirubin, it is said to be hepatic jaundice. And if the jaundice is due to the obstruction of bile duct, it is said to be post-hepatic jaundice. Thus, the inference from the above image in case of hemolytic jaundice is there might be increased level of unconjugated bilirubin, which will result in increased conversion of bilirubin to the urobilinogen, and there is elevated level of urobilinogen in both feces and urine. And in case of hepatocellular jaundice, the increased level of unconjugated bilirubin is converted into increased level of conjugated bilirubin, and they are excreted in feces in larger amount. And they are converted to urobilinogen, which will be further reduced to the compound called urobilin. So there might be increased level of conjugated bilirubin in feces, but decreased level of urobilinogen in feces and urine. In obstructive jaundice, there might be increased level of conjugated bilirubin, but due to the obstruction of bile duct, it cannot be further converted into urobilinogen. So there might be decreased level of urobilinogen in both feces and urine. There is also other kind of existing jaundice, namely infant jaundice or neonatal jaundice, which usually occurs in preterm babies, that is newborn babies. Why do they get jaundice? Do they consume alcohol? Do they intake drug? The reason is the baby's liver is not that much matured to quickly remove bilirubin from the bloodstream. So, it results in excess amount of bilirubin, which will result in condition called jaundice. Almost 60% of newborn babies suffer from this jaundice after the second day or third day of their birth. And almost 80% of the newborn babies suffer from jaundice within the first few days after their birth. So yeah, here are some of the symptoms of jaundice. First one is yellowing of skin and eyes. Second one is reduced appetite, followed by unexplained weight loss, nausea and vomiting, mild fever, abdominal pain, flu-like symptoms and fatigue. Some of the symptoms which we see here are already commonly covered in certain other diseases and disorders also. But in case of jaundice, the first thing which we concentrate is that yellowing of skin and eyes. Next, we can have a look on diagnosis in adults. First is blood test, which is otherwise called liver function test. They are performed to measure various liver enzymes which help us to show whether the liver is working well or not. We would remember while studying clinical enzymology, we would have come across certain enzyme assays that are carried out in liver function test. They include assay of serum transaminases and assay of alkaline phosphatases. Among these three enzymes, alkaline phosphatase is the most routinely used nowadays. Once the blood test is completed and if the patient's report is with elevated level of these enzymes, it might depict the abnormalities associated with liver. Next comes the serum bilirubin test, which is highly based on Van den Berg reaction, in shortly referred as Vandenberg reaction, that is reaction of bilirubin with diazo reagent resulting in reddish purple color azo compound. Thus, elevated conjugated bilirubin in patient sample can be assayed by direct reaction of bilirubin with diazo reagent, but it is not the case in unconjugated bilirubin as they are assayed by indirect reaction, that is by the reaction of bilirubin with diazo reagent only by the addition of secondary substance like alcohol, for example methanol. Thus, in hemolytic jaundice, elevated level of unconjugated bilirubin is assayed by indirect reaction, that is by the addition of methanol. In hepatocellular jaundice, increased level of conjugated bilirubin is assayed by direct reaction. And in case of obstructive jaundice, there might be both cases, either direct or indirect reaction. Next is urine test, which is useful in detecting whether the levels of various chemicals remains the same or gets altered in the blood. Under that, we notice bilirubin in urine and feces. Normally, bilirubin cannot be excreted in urine as they cannot pass through glomerular filter. If there is excretion of bilirubin in urine, it is accompanied with direct Wiedeberg reaction only by the excretion of conjugated bilirubin. Normally, bilirubin is not found in feces also, as they are reduced to urobilinogen by microbes present in the gut region of intestine. However, there is a chance of bilirubin in feces in patients who are treated with gut sterilizing antibiotic like neomycin, because this antibiotic acts on the microbes which are present in the intestine and there will be no development of bacteria. And also in infants who are not developed with bacteria in the gut, as they are with liver which is not enoughly mature. Next we consider is urobilinogen in urine and feces. The normal amount of urobilinogen excreted in urine is 4 mg per 24 hours. Thus, in obstructive jaundice, there is complete obstruction of bile duct and therefore there is no production of urobilinogen. So, there is no urobilinogen in the urine. In case of hemolytic jaundice, there is increased production of bilirubin, which leads to increased production of urobilinogen in large amounts in urine. In case of hepatocellular jaundice, there might be increased urinary urobilinogen in urine as there is damage to hepatic parenchymal cells present in the liver. And the normal quantity of urobilinogen excreted in feces per day is 50 to 250 mg. And in hemolytic jaundice, there might be increased level of unconjugated bilirubin which results in increased level of urobilinogen in feces which appears in dark color. Likewise, in obstruction jaundice, there might be complete obstruction of bile duct resulting in decreased production of urobilinogen and there is no urobilinogen found in feces which appears in clay color. And this complete absence of fecal urobilinogen is suggestive of malignant obstruction. There exist two kinds of obstruction, one is malignant and other one is non-malignant. This complete absence of fecal urobilinogen is very much involved in differential diagnosis of malignant from non-malignant. And next comes the ultrasound scan of the liver, common bile duct and pancreas to find if there is any blockage associated with certain bile ducts, for example, a gallstone or cancer of the pancreas. Next, the doctor will examine the structure of the liver if they suspect if there is any obstruction in the ducts. In that cases, they might use imaging tests including MRI, CT scan, etc. Last but not the least is liver biopsy, which is useful in checking for inflammation, cirrhosis, cancer, etc. This involves inserting a needle into the liver and they will collect a tissue sample and they will view it under a microscope to check any abnormalities within the liver function. So here is the Van den Berg method. It is the conjugated bilirubin which will react with diazo reagent and forms a reddish purple color. It is said to be direct fraction. And in case of unconjugated bilirubin, they will react with diazo reagent in addition to alcohol and forms reddish purple color, which is said to be indirect fraction. And see, it is the blood test in which the levels of AST, ALT and ALP are increased. And if you are taking imaging test using MRI or CT, the image may be like this if there is any obstruction in the bile duct. And this is liver biopsy. See, the needle is inserted to collect the tissue sample and they will view it under a microscope. Diagnosis in infants include a physical exam, which is nothing but the normal body checkup, and a laboratory test of a sample of his baby's blood, that is blood test. And if this blood report is not up to the level, they will subject us for one more blood test or urine test and a skin test with a device called transcutaneous bilirubinometer, which will measure the reflection of special light shown through the skin. Here are some of the complications of jaundice. In adults, bleeding, anemia, infections, abdominal bloating, which is nothing but GI tract which will be filled with air or gas. Then comes the swelling of legs, liver failure, kidney failure, constipation, stomach pain, flatulence. It is also same like abdominal bloating, but the air will be filled in the entire digestive system. And finally, diarrhea. In case of infants, they might include fever, vomiting, dazedness, which is nothing but they will not behave normally. They will be looking very confused, and then difficulty waking up or being alert, and finally continuous high-pitched crying. Now the treatment in adults. In case of hepatocellular jaundice, the person is treated with antiviral medications or steroids. They should avoid the habit of intaking drugs or alcohol at higher level, because they might be further susceptible to severe liver damage, which will result in liver transplantation. In case of hemolytic jaundice, they are treated with iron supplements, which is nothing but the food or supplements which are highly enriched with iron, so that we can replace red blood cells, or we can able to generate more amount of hemoglobin pigment, and so on. In case of obstructive jaundice, the treatment is only by the surgery, so that we can remove any obstruction in the duct, followed by medication. There is also another jaundice named medication induced jaundice, which might be a result of certain side effects as we are consuming certain medicines for some other treatment. In such cases, the medicines in such treatment should be avoided, and we should intake alternative medicines to prevent this medication induced jaundice. Here are some of the enlisted treatment in case of infants. First one is enhanced nutrition. So, to prevent any weight loss of a baby, the doctor may recommend us to give more frequent feeding or supplement that will ensure baby to receive adequate nutrition. And the second one is light therapy, which is otherwise called phototherapy. Here, the baby may be placed under a special lamp which emits light in blue-green spectrum, and this light induces the change in the shape and structure of bilirubin molecules, so that they can be excreted in both the urine and feces properly. And the third one is exchange of transfusion. This involves removing some amount of blood from the baby's body and replacing it with donor blood, so that the bilirubin and maternal antibodies get diluted. I would like to conclude with a positive note that most diseases are lifestyle related and preventable. As we know, while we are passing out from one generation to other generation, we could observe certain changes in our lifestyle, right? This might make us susceptible to various illness, diseases and disorders which might arise newly. But at the same time, we should accept the fact that if we think we can prevent that certain illness, diseases or disorders, it is highly preventable. Thank you.